Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dogco Secrets podcast. My name is Michelle Kline. I am your host and the founder of Dogco Launch, where I help pet care businesses grow and scale. So I got feedback on an episode from a couple weeks ago about the different phases of scaling your business. I was very upfront in that episode that it was not super well planned out. We were just kind of rolling with it and ad-libbing, and y'all seemed to like that style. It had some of the most downloads, and I got a lot of reach outs about it. So we are gonna keep going with that. So today we are doing a conversation. Who is your pet care business actually for? Who is your business actually for? And talk through candidly some of the competing priorities that I know you feel on a daily and weekly basis as far as where your time goes, how you prioritize things, and what you're ultimately working towards. So let's get into it. So when we are thinking about who your business is for, and I acknowledge this was a slightly, clickbait is probably the wrong word, but that may have immediately started drawing some things to mind for you. Who is your business for? Is it for your clients? Is it for your team? Is it for yourself? Ultimately, the answer is all three. And so I want to talk about some different considerations you need to keep in mind when it comes to your business and what you prioritize, because your business has to serve all three of these parties. And we have to figure out a way that all of that works together with a lot of synchrony. Because when we start to diminish the focus of the business on one of these three categories, we start to see an overall decline. So there are three priorities of who your business is for. That is going to be, and we're just going to go through all three, and I'm going to give my candid thoughts. Clients and market, your team, and you as the owner. So when we are thinking about clients and the market and the priorities of how the business has to focus on serving this section of the business, clients are the fuel of the business. They are the revenue. So if you've done any session with me or listened to any of my topic or content, I talk a lot about net profit and how net profit is the lifeblood of your business. And when you don't focus on having enough net profit in the business, that's the number one reason businesses close is cash flow issues. And that will undercut your ability to try things, to pivot, to think bigger than just week to week cash flow. That net profit is absolutely critical. The net profit comes from the clients. The revenue flows from the clients. And so the business has to serve the clients, which means we have to understand the market. If you're a pet care business that wants to level up, then this is for you. The Dogco Business Summit is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, September 26th to the 28th. We still have tickets available, and we just announced that we are going digital. So you can get your in-person ticket or your digital ticket at dogcosummit.com. We have to understand the specific areas of opportunity within the market, and we have to align the business within that. I can fall into a trap of thinking personally where I start believing that if I run hard enough at something, I can bust through the wall. It's kind of like the Kool-Aid man from the old commercials. I really believe I can do that. If I just run hard enough at it, I can bend things to my will. And while there are many benefits to that quality, I don't necessarily dislike that I am that way, or that I am that way. There also is a reality of when we position ourselves to move with the current of the market and to capitalize on the opportunity that's already presenting itself, then we get to align our energy in fulfillment and delivery and growth rather than trying to make something a thing. So we want to make sure that we are swimming with the flow of the market, that we really understand our clients, who we're looking to serve, what they actually want. When we start to realign our vision away from that is when you start to see businesses becoming really insular. You start to see businesses really missing the mark with their clients, maybe pitching projects or new initiatives that they really thought were going to take off. They put a lot of investment behind, maybe a lot of money, and nobody's buying it. It's okay, well, we're out of alignment with clients and what they actually want. And that's a big reason why that went that way. Now, there might be other considerations too, like maybe we were like right on the client desire, we were off on pricing, or maybe we launched whatever initiative it was at a bad time. And so it just wasn't getting on people's radar. Maybe they didn't have the purchasing power right at that moment. But oftentimes it's a lack of alignment to clients, not knowing the market that the clients are in, and how what we are looking to do really aligns with the market. Some quick tips on how we can get into better alignment with our markets and with the opportunity in your current market. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, sorry, I messed with the microphone. I shouldn't have done that. All right, back into it. So some tips on how we can get more aligned with clients and with the market, since the business is for them, in addition to the team and to you. So number one, I talk about this at the start of every year, and I think mid-year, because plot twist, we are halfway through the year. That is coming next week. So I am recording this on the 24th. This will post on the 30th of June. So right at the cusp of the year transitioning. Or I'm so sorry, right at the cusp of being halfway through the year. So it's a good time to take a step back to do some planning. You're going to see a couple episodes coming up on evaluating the year, how it's going. Are we in alignment with our goals? All these things. And part of goal planning, I believe, is taking the time to get the metrics, the data, and the information that we need to chart the right path forward. So when that comes to our clients, doing an in-depth client survey, it's a great point at the halfway mark in the year to get some information from our clients. Now, maybe that means you survey all of your clients and we're looking to get like a form back. This can be great because we can take all those responses and analyze them to find themes, to find patterns. This is where I am very pro the use of AI and uploading like a report of a lot of information to ask it to analyze it for you. That'll save a ton of time for you. And it's really a good use case of how to put the power of AI behind your business is in helping you get a deeper insight to the data and the information and the themes. That'll save you a lot of time. I'm a very big proponent of using AI in that way. So doing a client survey in that way. The other thing we could look to do is maybe do some in-depth client interviews. So see if there are a couple clients or 4 or 5 that are really in alignment with the clients that you would like to serve and find more of. And see if they would get on the phone with you for a 15-20-minute interview and just ask for their utter honesty. Maybe give them a walk or two as a thank you for their time. And to ask a lot of questions on how does our service benefit you? What would encourage you to use us more? How do we solve problems for your family? What problems could we get better at solving? Where are the gaps? All these questions that can help us really get a sense of our clients, what they want and what they need. The other component of getting a little bit more clear on the market and the opportunity in the market, I believe that's going to start with data and research. So researching the trends you see in your community. What are the industries that are growing? What is the age demographic that's moving into your area? What is the age demographic that's leaving? So in my mastermind, I spend a lot of time in the second month of the program, really focused on doing a deep dive of your community and putting together a community analysis so that we can really map the specific opportunities for your specific area. We want to make sure that we are moving upstream with the market, that we're flowing with the current of effort rather than trying to swim against it. So starting with getting clear on your specific market, asking questions like who lives here, who works here, what are these target zones of opportunity when it comes to the service that I provide? And obviously I'm speaking to local service-based businesses in that framing. If you do like products or digital products, or maybe you have like a product company where you ship products so you're not confined to one area, I would approach that differently. I'd be researching like keywords and different trends, which can apply to your market too, but anyways, you get the idea. So for clients and market, we want to do a lot of research, and then we want to pull that together on our end to assess the opportunities that we see and to map a pathway forward. All right, so moving past clients and market, the business is also for the team. So this business model, and by this I mean in-home pet care business that have one service provider going into the home, or even one service provider working with multiple animals, but we're not working like one human to 100 animals at a time. If you're in animal care, you may be doing small groups, but you're probably not working with that many pets. So it's still a very labor heavy business model if you're doing one-to-one or if you're working with multiple animals at a time. And so due to that, there is a very high need of dependency on our staff. The business just can't exist without them if you have gone team-based. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't ever scale back and go back solo if you decided to, but most businesses I at least work with, they've committed to the team-based model. They've taken on a lot of clients. They have to keep hiring to meet the demand that already exists in the business and that they're continuing to drum up in their community. So we are in on the team-based model, which I happen to love that model because it allows you a lot of time freedom as the owner, location freedom if you're working towards that. It can be a model that you can really grow with, and it can extend your longevity in the industry and just help you grow and scale your business, which is great. However, because this business model is as it is very reliant on team members. If you go team-based, we have to have a business that serves our team so that we can continue that growth. And this is, not even getting into the kind of broader social effects of or societal effects of having a business that's a wonderful place to work. I really believe that feeds in on itself, that attracts talent. If you become known for that in your community, it makes your community a better place. Like, there are all these implications of being a business that really serves employees well, in addition to just the symbiotic nature of what it looks like to be in a business model that is very labor heavy and labor constricted if you're not getting enough of the right people in the door. I talk about this pretty frequently, but I believe that employee retention, if you are growing a team-based model in this industry, is the number one bottleneck. You're going to have bottlenecks that come up outside of that, maybe in lead flow or in client onboarding. The employee retention is going to be the master level bottleneck from what I see in the industry. And so if we're able to really crack that, it is going to make all the other aspects of growth work in your favor. So if we're looking at the business serving the team, I think we want to look at really understanding what our team prioritizes. So this was a really interesting moment in my business. I had a team, for the conversation thread we're on. I had a team and I decided to do some in-depth surveys to them. You're probably getting a theme. I like to get information before I make big decisions in my business. And one thing that I was really curious about was the intersection of flexibility and predictability, specifically when it came to pay. At the time, we were mostly dog walking, tiny bit of pet sitting, mostly dog walking. But I was seeing a huge variation in tips across the team. And we had gone fully team-based, so nobody had like their own clients, nobody had their route. I decided on my end who you worked with at a given time. And I was seeing a difference in pay of up to $9 an hour, totally randomized, like just based off luck of the draw of what clients I happened to assign you to. And that I just started to get curious. Like, does that bother people that some weeks your pay is going to be $9 an hour more than the next week? Or does that feel like a unexpected rainfall that you like? So I started asking questions like this. And what came back from the team was, we actually really don't like that. It's great on the weeks that you do. It's really tough on the weeks that you don't. Makes it really difficult to plan on the income from this job. And based off of that feedback, we ended up going to a tip pool, which was a phenomenal move. I saw really positive implications on employee retention, on employee happiness. I got great feedback off of it. So the tip pool, huge fan of. Side note, not all states are tip pool happy. So please make sure you do your own research, whether that's talking to an employment lawyer, an HR specialist, etc., to see if you could compliantly do a tip pool in your area and what the rules and regulations of that would be. Just my little disclaimer, make sure we all stay compliant here. So yeah, and then I think also trying to get clear. So if we're going back to who is the business for, the business is also for the team. Understanding the way that your business is perceived in the broader community, I think is really helpful information. I think it helps you understand who you may be attracting. It helps you understand just how the business is viewed and part of the bigger picture, specifically as an employer. That's helpful on the client side too, but as an employer, so that, I just think that's really helpful information when we're thinking through who the business serves. All right, the third and final category of what we are going to talk about today is your business has to serve you as the owner. I am a really big proponent of this because if the business does not serve you, it's unsustainable. Now, that does not mean that there are not going to be seasons of intentional sacrifice. I'm in one of those right now. I'm pulling the kind of hours that I know I can't do for a decade. There's going to have to be a season where I shift into a little bit more balance, and then maybe I shift back. But that was an intentional choice going into this year, and one that I am more than happy to make because I absolutely love what I do. And as I said, that's kind of part of the game, I think. We have seasons where it just takes more to get to that next level. But your business as a whole needs to be supporting you. It needs to be trending in the direction where it will support you and you have a clear-cut plan that you're executing on if it doesn't right now. There are 3 components that I personally take into consideration when it comes to thinking about how a business will serve me. I am on my 3rd business. The first 2 I sold, and this one, I'm in it. I'm here for the long haul. But there are 3 considerations that I have when I am thinking through how a business serves me. And that's going to be lifestyle, time freedom, and financial freedom. You are going to have different criteria most likely. And that's the beautiful thing about this category. It really needs to be, what do you personally want out of your business? I work with some people where the dream is absentee owner. The dream is, I've front loaded my effort, brain space, power into this business, set it up to really sustain itself. I put the right people in the right places, and now I'm reaping the benefits of that long term. With my pet care business, that was an objective that I had. I spent the last year absentee owner before deciding to sell to go into Dogco. And it's really interesting. My goals since then have really shifted. I think in part because I'm in alignment with work that I just find, I tried to describe this to somebody else the other day. Dogco uses all of my brain. And I really like that. Like it feels very engaging to me. It feels like just interesting problems every day that I get to tackle. And don't get me wrong, I felt that way about my pet care business a lot as well. And I love that I still get to solve problems in pet care businesses. But I think just for the season that I'm in now, Dogco, it brings in, I mean, honestly, it's because I used to be a therapist. And so I love the people component of what I do now. So anyways, now I'm on a tangent, but all that to say, your goals can shift as far as how the business needs to serve you and what it needs to go to do for you in different seasons. But so pay to play. Let's start here. I am a big proponent that your business needs to serve you financially. Now, that doesn't mean we're all taking home $3 million a year. That would be phenomenal. I'm not saying that, but I am saying you are able to pay yourself from your business. You have the numbers in alignment to where we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, you are a consideration in the model. And you are prioritized. I work with a lot of business owners where when we start working together, they have deprioritized their personal pay for so long that it can be really tough, y'all. And I really want you to take this one seriously because it leads to burnout. It leads to resentment. It leads to not having the business in a healthy financial position where you have flexibility because you're running so thin. This is the number one thing I encourage businesses to course correct first. If you are not paying yourself appropriately, if you are not taking a paycheck so that you can keep the business going, we have to realign that initially because everything else will flow from that. So we want to make sure your business serves you financially. And then past that, the other 2 things I think about personally, again, it'll be different for you. Time freedom. So am I working in a business and do I have this set up in a way where it gives me time freedom, or it will, depending on what I'm working towards? And then another big one for me is going to be location freedom. I would say as I rank priorities for myself, it's probably going to be financial, location, and time, at least in this season. I could see that kind of like flip-flopping in itself, depending on the season that I'm in. But all that to say, it's something I think about consistently, is making sure that the businesses I'm investing serve me as the owner. Because, just to be totally honest, I went through a lot of seasons where it didn't. With my former two businesses, where I felt I was just pouring myself out day after day, suffering with a lot of burnout, struggling, to pay myself at all because I had set things up really poorly. And that's not a place that I want us to stay in relationship to our business, because it did not serve me. Due to that, there were seasons where I didn't serve the business well because it wasn't out of a place of thankfulness and gratitude and care. It was out of a place of burnout and all the things that come from when we aren't taking care of ourselves as people. So I think we got there in the end. I hope this episode was helpful thinking through, who does your business actually serve? Giving you a sneak peek of what's coming up at the next hot tip episode. That is going to be figuring out how to evaluate the first 6 months of the year. I'm going to give you a framework that I use for evaluating how my year is going at a halfway midpoint check-in, so that we can get connected on your goals and see how things are going for you. All right, everyone, have a good one.